6 centuries before Christ, the inhabitants of the Egyptian oasis of Siwa looked out at the Sahara and held their breaths. Just days away was a mighty Persian army on a mission to destroy it. The army never arrived. Engulfed by a sandstorm, they were said to have been lost without trace. But is it just legend or terrible truth?
Ancient mysteries historians still can't explain. Our modern world tells us a story of progress, a steady march from stone tools to smartphones. But what if that official story is missing its most important chapter? Scattered across the globe are artifacts and structures so advanced and so strange, they defy all modern explanation. We're not just talking about old ruins, we're talking about potential evidence of lost technologies, forgotten civilizations, and mysteries that top historians still can't solve.
This was a spectacular device. It's an analog computer. This was a device that we wouldn't see again for another 2,000 years until the 1800s.
And for some of these puzzles, new discoveries are emerging that could finally provide an answer. An answer that might just change history forever. 1. The puzzle of the Andes. High in the mountains of Peru lies a mystery not of what was built, or even who built it, but how. How did an ancient empire construct a fortress with stones so massive and so perfectly joined? They appear to have been molded into place by giants.
There was a Spanish traveler who crossed the entire width of South America. He reported seeing huge cities.
This is the ancient Inca stronghold of Sacsayhuaman. Its walls are built from some of the largest stones ever used in construction. Some weigh over 100 tons, heavier than a blue whale.
My feeling, very strong feeling, is that we're looking at a two-phase construction site in many of the so-called Inca stone monuments. And that the Inca structures sit on top of much more ancient rock-cut structures and megalithic structures that we just don't know who built them. And this actually fits with the Inca's own view.
But the real puzzle isn't their size, it's their shape. They are not simple bricks. Each stone is a unique, complex polygon, some with more than a dozen sharp angles. And they interlock with their neighbors with a precision so absolute, no mortar was needed. Not even a single sheet of paper can fit in the cracks between them.
That's me, for scale, standing beside that block.
Conventional history tells us the Inca, a civilization with no iron tools, no wheels, and no written language, achieved this by chipping away at the stones and grinding them together for immense periods until they fit by sheer force and friction. But could this method alone account for such perfection on such a massive scale? How did they lift and maneuver 100-ton blocks with such delicate precision, testing the fit over and over again on a steep mountainside? The Spanish conquistadors who saw it were so amazed they believed it must have been the work of demons, not men. The Inca themselves left no record of their technique, and the knowledge vanished when their empire fell. This has led to more exotic theories, from local legends of a plant-based liquid that could soften stone, to ideas of a lost, forgotten technology passed down from an even earlier time.
This rock weighs about 20 tons. This is minuscule compared to many of the rocks at Sacsayhuaman.
The ultimate climax of Sacsayhuaman is the hard evidence itself. The wall stands as a silent challenge to our understanding of the past. It forces us to ask, are we simply underestimating the ingenuity of ancient peoples? Or are we missing a crucial piece of their story? A piece of knowledge that allowed them to shape the very earth in ways we can no longer comprehend. 2. The clockwork of the cosmos. But what if the Egyptians weren't the only ones with seemingly impossible knowledge? What if another ancient culture created a device so complex it shouldn't have existed for another 1,000 years?
Now, when they found that ancient Greek computer thing, what is that called?
The Antikythera mechanism.
And it has been determined that that analog computer was used to predict astronomical events.
In 1901, sponge divers off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera discovered a Roman-era shipwreck. Buried in the wreckage was an unassuming, corroded lump of bronze. For decades, it sat in a museum, dismissed as little more than a piece of a broken statue. But as the layers of calcification were slowly removed, they revealed something extraordinary: a system of intricately interlocking gears.
Those gears? Tiny, some with teeth you'd need a magnifying glass to count. X-ray scans show they're cut with eerie precision, maybe using tools we haven't even found yet.
What was this strange device? After decades of painstaking research using advanced X-ray and 3D imaging technology, scientists finally uncovered its purpose. This was the Antikythera mechanism, a 2,200-year-old astronomical calculator of breathtaking complexity. It was, in effect, the world's first analog computer. By turning a hand crank, a user could track the position of the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets known to the ancient Greeks.
It's a dedicated calculating machine, and it uses bronze gear wheels to calculate the cycles of the cosmos being the sun, the moon, the planets against the stars. You can wind it forward 10 years and you can know where the sun and the moon is going to be, where the planets are going to be.
It could predict solar and lunar eclipses with startling accuracy. It even had a dial to track the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games. The device contained over 30 precision-cut bronze gears, all fitting into a wooden case the size of a shoebox. The level of engineering and miniaturization involved was not seen again in human history for over 1,400 years, until the astronomical clocks of medieval Europe.
This was the first shock because anything from ancient Greece simply shouldn't have gear wheels. These were precision gears with teeth about 1 millimeter long. And this was just completely shocking.
The existence of the Antikythera mechanism is like finding a smartphone in a medieval castle. It completely shatters our understanding of what the ancient Greeks were capable of. It implies a deep understanding of astronomy and a mastery of mechanical engineering that was thought to be impossible for the era. The true climax of this mystery isn't just what the device was, but the questions it raises. Was this a one-of-a-kind masterpiece created by a lone genius? Or is it the only surviving example of a long-lost tradition of high technology? If they could build this, what else did they create that now lies lost on the ocean floor, waiting to rewrite our history books all over again? Number 3. The Temple Before Time. For generations, historians believed that they had the story of human civilization figured out. First, humans learned to farm. Agriculture led to permanent settlements. Settlements grew into cities, and only then, with a stable food supply and a large population, did complex religion and monumental architecture emerge. But what if that entire timeline is backwards? In the mid-1990s, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt began excavating a remote hilltop in southeastern Turkey. Local farmers had long believed it to be a medieval cemetery. But Schmidt suspected it was something far older. What he uncovered would fundamentally change our understanding of the ancient world. He found Göbekli Tepe.
The site of Göbekli Tepe is a series of circular enclosures, but then in the center of each enclosure you have 2 particularly big T-shaped pillars of limestone, sort of facing each other. Now, many of these pillars have remarkable carvings on them, wonderful carvings and bas-reliefs of animals, birds, insects, all kinds of things. So to fashion those and carve them and set them up in these structures was just absolutely amazing.
It's a sprawling complex of massive T-shaped stone pillars arranged in circles. The pillars are up to 18 feet tall and weigh as much as 15 tons. They are covered in intricate carvings of animals, lions, boars, foxes, and strange, abstract human figures. It is, without a doubt, the world's first known temple. But here's the truly mind-bending part. Carbon dating revealed that Göbekli Tepe is 12,000 years old. That's 6,000 years older than Stonehenge and 7,000 years older than the Great Pyramid. It was built in an era when humans were thought to be simple hunter-gatherers, living in small nomadic bands. The people who built Göbekli Tepe did not have writing. They did not have the wheel. They hadn't even invented pottery yet. Yet somehow these prehistoric people managed to quarry, transport, and erect hundreds of massive stone pillars into a complex and spiritually significant arrangement. The level of organization and coordination required to build this site is something archaeologists did not think was possible for hunter-gatherer societies. The climax of this discovery isn't just its age, but what it implies. There is no evidence of permanent settlement around Göbekli Tepe. It seems to have been a place of pilgrimage, a regional gathering point for worship. This has led to a revolutionary new theory. Perhaps it was the shared need and desire to build a great temple that spurred humans to organize, to innovate, and eventually to develop agriculture in order to feed the builders. It suggests that it wasn't farming that created civilization and religion. It may have been the desire for religion and a connection to the cosmos that created civilization itself. Number 4. The message in the desert. From a temple built to be seen up close, we travel to a work of art so vast, it can only be understood from the sky. But for what audience were these colossal drawings intended? Stretching across 200 square miles of the Nazca Desert are hundreds of giant geoglyphs known as the Nazca Lines. Created by the Nazca culture between 500 BCE and 500 CE, these designs are etched into the landscape. Some are simple geometric shapes and long straight lines that run for miles with perfect precision. Others are stunning depictions of animals: a spider, a hummingbird with a 300-foot wingspan, a monkey with a swirling tail. They were created simply by removing the reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles on the desert surface to reveal the lighter-colored ground beneath. The dry, windless climate has preserved them for nearly 2 millennia.
Eventually, he realizes a lot of these are forming geometric shapes. Kind of standard rectangles, spirals, squares, triangles. Some of them as big as a football field, to put it in perspective.
For decades, the purpose of the Nazca Lines was a complete enigma. The most popular theory, proposed in the 1970s, was that they were a giant astronomical calendar, with lines aligning to the rising and setting of the sun, moon, and stars during important celestial events. Others, noting their visibility from above, proposed more exotic theories involving hot air balloons or even extraterrestrial visitors. But as archaeologists studied the lines more closely, a new and more profound theory began to take shape. They discovered that many of the lines, particularly the animal figures, were connected to sources of water, a precious and scarce resource in one of the driest places on Earth. They found pottery shards and evidence of rituals at points where the lines converged.
Over 800 lines total, hundreds of geometric shapes, and at least 100 animals are present in this whole area.
The precision of these lines is super impressive, even by modern survey standards, because many of them are just dead straight.
This has led to the current leading theory. The Nazca Lines were not meant to be seen from above by humans at all. They were ritual pathways. They were walked by ancient peoples in religious processions as part of prayers and ceremonies directed at the gods in the sky, pleading for water and fertility for their crops. The animal figures may have represented different deities or constellations associated with the seasons and the coming of the rains. The climax here is the shift in perspective. The mystery isn't how they saw the lines, but how they used them. They weren't an ancient airport or an alien message board. They were a sacred landscape, a giant open-air temple where an entire culture walked in unison, tracing the outlines of their gods in a desperate plea to survive in a harsh and unforgiving world. Number 5. The Unreadable Book. Some mysteries are etched in stone and earth. Others are written on paper. But what happens when the writing itself is the mystery? When a book filled with knowledge is staring you in the face, but its language is completely alien? Meet the Voynich manuscript. It's a 240-page codex, carbon-dated to the early 15th century. Its vellum pages are filled with elegant flowing script, but it is a script that appears nowhere else on Earth. Alongside the text are hundreds of detailed hand-colored drawings, but these drawings only deepen the enigma.
It's the book nobody can read. 200-plus pages of alien letters and fever dream diagrams locked away in a Yale vault.
The fact that the manuscript is written in a way that nobody else could read it suggests that it is preserving knowledge that someone wanted to keep secret.
The manuscript is divided into sections. One section is clearly botanical, filled with drawings of plants. But not a single plant has ever been definitively identified. They seem to be creations of fantasy. Another section is astronomical, with zodiacal charts and celestial diagrams, but they don't correspond to any known cosmology. Perhaps the strangest section is the biological one, which depicts dozens of small naked figures, mostly female, bathing in elaborate networks of pipes and green liquid. For over a century, the world's best cryptographers have tried to crack its code. During World War II, top codebreakers who had successfully deciphered enemy communications tried their hand at the Voynich manuscript, and failed completely. In the modern era, powerful computers and artificial intelligence algorithms have been unleashed on the text. They too have failed. The theories about its origin are endless. Is it the lost work of an alchemist? The secret notebook of a forgotten genius like Leonardo da Vinci? Or is it an enciphered version of a known language? Or is it a completely lost natural language? Or, as some experts believe, could it be the most elaborate and brilliant hoax in history, a meaningless collection of symbols designed to look like a real language, created to fool a wealthy patron? The structure of the text seems too complex to be a hoax. It follows certain linguistic rules, with words and characters repeating in patterns consistent with a real language. But if it is real, what does it say? The climax of this mystery is its stubborn refusal to yield its secrets. It remains a locked book, a silent testament to a world of knowledge, fantasy, or deception that is completely lost to us. Number 6. The army swallowed by the sand. History is filled with tales of great armies and epic battles. But what happens when an entire army of 50,000 men simply vanishes? The story comes from the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, often called the father of history. In 1524 BCE, the Persian king Cambyses II was in the process of conquering Egypt. After a victory in the north, he dispatched a massive portion of his army, 50,000 soldiers, from Thebes. Their mission: to cross 500 miles of the unforgiving western desert to attack and subdue the oracle of Amun at the Siwa oasis. According to Herodotus, the army made it part of the way, reaching an oasis known as Karga. They were seen departing from there, heading deeper into the desert. And then, they were never seen again. Herodotus writes that as the army marched, a colossal sandstorm rose up from the south, a deadly wind that buried the soldiers and all their equipment under mountains of sand. The entire army, 50,000 men strong, was wiped from the face of the earth without a single survivor.
People were struck by the find in the tomb of King Tut. He was one king. Can you imagine 5,000 or 10,000 soldiers?
Bronze armor, weapons, skulls, skeletons, possibly chariots.
Everything you can think of. It's a huge treasure if you can think of it that way.
For centuries, many historians dismissed this story as a fable, a piece of propaganda to explain away a military blunder. But is it possible that it's true? An army of that size would have left behind a trail of evidence: armor, weapons, coins, and the bones of 50,000 soldiers. Yet for 2,500 years, nothing has been found. Numerous expeditions have searched for the lost army. In 2009, a pair of Italian archaeologists announced the discovery of bronze weapons, a silver bracelet, and hundreds of human bones in the Siwa region, claiming they had found the lost army. However, the wider archaeological community remains skeptical, and the findings have not been conclusively verified. The climax of this story is the enduring power of the desert itself. If the army is out there, it is buried under shifting dunes that can be hundreds of feet high. Finding it would be like finding a needle in a continent-sized haystack. The lost army of Cambyses remains one of history's most compelling cold cases. A ghost story written in the sands of time. Number 7. The Roman Puzzle Box. From the deserts of Egypt, we traveled to the heart of the Roman Empire. The Romans were masters of record-keeping. They documented their military campaigns, their engineering, their laws, and their daily life. So why is there absolutely no mention of one of the strangest and most common objects found across their former empire?
This tiny piece of bronze was once part of a mysterious object known as a Roman dodecahedron.
This is a Roman dodecahedron. Over 100 of these have been found from Wales to Hungary. They are small, hollow objects made of bronze or, more rarely, stone. They all have 12 flat, pentagonal faces, and each face has a circular hole of a different diameter. Small knobs protrude from each corner point. They date from the 2nd to the 4th century CE, and their purpose is a complete and total mystery. The theories are all over the map. Are they a candlestick holder for a specific size of candle? The holes don't show any evidence of wax. Are they a survey instrument for measuring distances? Their construction isn't precise enough. Are they a range-finding device for Roman artillery? A toy for children? A scepter head for a priest? One of the most popular theories is that they were a knitting tool, used to create the fingers of gloves. But this doesn't explain why they are made of expensive bronze or why they are so ornate. Another idea is that they were a magical or religious artifact, perhaps used for fortune-telling. A user would throw the dodecahedron like a die and see which hole landed facing up. But the most frustrating part of this mystery is the silence. Not a single Roman text, letter, or inventory list ever mentions these objects. It's as if they were so common and their purpose so obvious that no one ever felt the need to write it down. The climax here is the simple, maddening fact that we just don't know. This isn't a grand mystery of a lost city or a vanished army. It's a small personal object that thousands of Romans held in their hands. And we are left with a puzzle box with no instructions, a common tool whose function has been utterly erased from history. Number 8. The City Beneath the Waves. It is the most famous lost city in all of human history, a story of a utopian island civilization, blessed with incredible wealth and advanced technology that was consumed by the sea in a single day and night of misfortune. But was Atlantis a real place, or is it merely a story? The only account we have of Atlantis comes from the Greek philosopher Plato, written around 360 BCE. He describes it as an island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Strait of Gibraltar. It was a concentric city of alternating rings of land and water, home to a noble and powerful race. But as the Atlanteans grew arrogant and corrupt, the gods turned against them, and the entire island was destroyed by violent earthquakes and floods. For centuries, people have debated Plato's intentions. Was he recording a genuine historical tradition passed down through generations? Or was he creating a fictional allegory, a cautionary tale to warn his fellow Athenians about the dangers of hubris and imperial ambition? The search for a real historical Atlantis has consumed explorers for generations. The theories for its location are endless. Some point to the island of Thera, now Santorini, a Minoan settlement that was devastated by a cataclysmic volcano eruption around 1600 BCE, an event that could have inspired the legend. Others have looked further afield, the Bahamas, the Azores, even Antarctica. In recent years, one location has gained enormous traction on the internet. The Rishat structure in Mauritania, Africa, It is a massive circular geological formation that, from above, bears a startling resemblance to Plato's description of the concentric rings of Atlantis. While geologists are certain it is a natural formation, a geological dome that has eroded over time, its appearance has fueled a new generation of searches. The climax of the Atlantis mystery is that it may never be solved. It represents the ultimate romantic quest, the search for a lost golden age, a paradise lost. Whether it lies waiting to be discovered beneath the waves, or exists only in the pages of Plato's philosophy, Atlantis forces us to confront the boundary between history, myth, and our own desire to believe in a world more wondrous than our own. Number 9. The day civilization collapsed. Our final mystery is perhaps the most profound of all. It is not about a single object or a lost city. It is about the collapse of an entire world. But what could possibly cause some of the greatest empires on Earth to all crumble at the same time? Around the year 1200 BCE, the Late Bronze Age was a time of flourishing civilization. The powerful Egyptian New Kingdom, the Hittite Empire in Anatolia, the Mycenaean palaces of Greece. These were interconnected superpowers linked by trade, diplomacy, and a shared global culture. It was a thriving cosmopolitan world. And then, in the space of a single generation, it all came crashing down. In a period of just a few decades, major cities across the eastern Mediterranean were violently destroyed and abandoned. The Hittite Empire vanished completely. The Mycenaean palace culture in Greece collapsed, plunging the region into a dark age that would last for centuries. Egypt survived, but was severely weakened and thrown onto the defensive, never to regain its former glory. Trade routes were severed, literacy was lost in many areas. It was a societal collapse of an unprecedented scale. So what caused it? For decades, historians have debated a perfect storm of factors. Widespread drought and famine caused by climate change, a series of devastating earthquakes, and internal rebellions. But there is one more mysterious factor, one mentioned in the few surviving texts from the era. The inscriptions on Egyptian temples speak of an attack from a mysterious coalition of invaders who came from the sea. The Egyptians called them the Sea Peoples. Their true identity and origin remain one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of history. The carvings depict them as a confederation of different tribes, fighting fierce naval and land battles against the armies of the pharaoh. Were these the primary cause of the collapse? Or were they simply migrants and opportunists taking advantage of an already crumbling world? Were they displaced peoples, victims of the same climate change and famine that were plaguing the great empires? Some theories suggest they were early Greeks, Philistines, or Sardinians, but no single theory fits all the evidence. The climax of this final mystery is the chilling realization of how fragile civilization truly is. The Bronze Age collapse was a reset button for the ancient world. Great empires turned to dust, and entire cultures were wiped from memory. The identity of the Sea Peoples remains hidden, a testament to a time when the world was plunged into the Dark Age, a stark reminder that even the greatest civilizations can vanish, leaving behind only whispers and mysteries we are still struggling to solve.